Hello, my name is Ryan Pierce, and I'm a project manager of civil design projects for a local engineering consultant called Meshek and Associates. I want to introduce you to some of the unique ways Meshek uses engineering to improve public safety in our local communities. Just a few details about me. I'm Tulsa born and raised, and I'm a licensed civil engineer in the state of Oklahoma. I'm also an officer in the Tulsa Engineering Foundation, which is a foundation of engineering societies formed to assist in coordinating activities and services for members' societies, and most importantly, to promote science, math, and engineering in the community. Now, I would like to introduce you to the CEO of Meshek and Associates, Brandon Claiborne. Brandon?
Thanks, Ryan. I appreciate you giving us the chance to share a little bit about our company with Tulsa Engineering Foundation. Businesses exist for one purpose, and that's really to meet a need in a community. And as we thought about our firm and try to define what our purpose was, this is the statement we came up with: that communities need trusted partners to safeguard today and build a stronger tomorrow. It's why we exist. And that's really what we believe our role is as an engineering company, is to be able to make a difference in the communities in which we serve. A little bit more about Meshek and Associates. We were founded in 1988 by Janet Meshek, and that means we've been in existence for over 30 years. We do have offices in Tulsa and Oklahoma City, and we have over 50 employees, many of them degreed professionals in areas of science, technology, engineering, and math. What do we do as an engineering firm? Well, we're a multidisciplinary firm, and we have several different areas in which we work. And we're going to walk you through each one of these in a little bit more in depth. Obviously, we do civil engineering. As Ryan mentioned, it's the group that he works with. Hydrology and hydraulic engineering is another area that we're known for, as an area of specialty of ours. In addition to that, we provide land acquisition services for mainly engineering type projects, LIDAR services, traditional land surveying services, GIS services, and planning and grant management services. Ryan, tell us a little bit more about what you do in our civil and roadway design group.
Thank you, Brandon. There's a joke in civil engineering, we're a jack of all trades and a master of none. It seems intimidating, but it's also a lot of fun. Listed here, some examples: highways, roadways, trails, bridge, stormwater, dams, traffic control, site development, and water and wastewater, including treatment and distribution. And ironically, a lot of those things are in this very picture, which is right here in town at 51st and Garnett over Fred Creek. We have another saying, out of sight and out of mind, and I think this project's a great example of that. Another joke: mechanical engineers like to joke that they make weapons and civil engineers make targets. Well, some civil engineers take offense to that and build very robust designs. And in a case like this at 51st and Garnett, it was needed. The truck traffic is just very heavy out there, and I think it's served the community great ever since it went in. Brandon?
Thanks, Ryan. Next, we're going to talk about the areas we work called hydrology and hydraulics. And when you think about when it rains, that water has to go somewhere. And a little bit of it soaks in the ground, but a lot of it runs off. And when it runs off, it can be an asset. We start to think about watering crops, watering our lawn, helping to feed and clothe our culture. It can also be drinking water. So lots of good things can happen, but bad things can happen as well, including flooding, erosion, and other damage. So this picture that you see on the screen is one of my favorite examples of a project that I was involved in from the early stages. This is upstream of this pond area is a golf course, and that golf course, during large rain events, a couple times a year, the road on your left would overtop. We proposed to the city that they could build a detention pond here, and wouldn't change the normal function of this area on normal days, but during a flood, the dam would keep the water from overtopping the road, and water would actually go through the culvert under the road And in addition, we had to work with our civil design group to make sure on this project that the Pathfinder walkway would meet ADA compliance and not have water going through it like it did before. Just a great example of a project serving multiple uses for a city. The detention stores that it provided reduced flooding downstream, it made the roads safer. So there's a lot of different components that go into some of our projects. It's not just about one particular issue. Another example in hydrology and hydraulics, you probably are familiar with the flooding that happened in Northeast Oklahoma in 2019, in May of that year. In the Verdigris River, Oologah Lake, the Corps was set to release a record discharge from the lake. We built a model of the area downstream where we could forecast what the flooding would look like so that we could work with the local emergency managers and other officials to get people out of harm's way, and then after the effects to help them assess the damage as well. Just another example of using the latest technology that we can to try to make a difference and do what engineers do in these types of events. You may not have heard of geographic information systems, but I guarantee you've interacted with it in some capacity. If you've ever used Google Maps to look up information and to find things, everything that you see in Google Maps is placed in a given location by its coordinates, but it has several layers of databases in the background with all of the information that gets shared. And we do that same type of development. For example, what you see on the screen here is depth of flooding from different storm frequency events. We can take that depth of flooding data and interact it with housing data to figure out how much flood damages would happen for a given flood event. We can interact it with utility data. Any data sets that we can have that have a geographic location to them, we can use them to do extra analysis. And it's something that's been around for a long time, but it's finally getting its due in the world of technology and being combined in with a lot of the work that we do in engineering. Planning and grant administration, you might ask, why is an engineering firm doing planning and grant administration? Well, if you see this, what's on the screen here, some of our staff helped the city of Tulsa develop their hazard mitigation plan. And what they have to do is think about, if we have a disastrous type event hit the city of Tulsa, how are we going to respond? What can we do to prepare so that we're ready to respond? One example you see on the screen here is a plot of the path and the severity of every tornado that's hit Tulsa that we know of. And we can look at what the impacts of those were and say, well, what would happen if that tornado would hit, say, downtown Tulsa? And how would we respond to that? What type of infrastructure would be impacted, et cetera? And so that's important. Planners play an important role there, but engineers and other technology folks, GIS and otherwise, play an important role as well. Our surveying is changing too. You may have thought of the world of surveying as people out looking through an instrument and writing down notes, and a lot of that's done electronically and with lasers now. And not only that, we have a LiDAR scanner hanging off the bottom of this drone that you see that can shoot 700,000 lasers per second out to the ground, and then measures the time it takes them to bounce back. And for doing a lot of math and some complex geometry, it can, and using GPS to know where it's at all the time, we can get things like this. This is at the Tulsa County Fairgrounds, and by driving around with that scanner or flying with the drone, you can see we picked up trees, utility lines, the superstructure on the IPE building, and all kinds of information that we can then take back to the computer and convert to a more traditional survey. Land acquisition services. Well, anytime you're going to try to build improvements, whether those be roadway, water line, sewer line, or other improvements, it usually involves acquiring at least right-of-way or actual property. There's a lot of rules associated with that, and we have a land acquisition group that helps our communities and private entities, as well as the Department of Transportation, acquire the property that they need to be able to build these types of infrastructure projects. So our engineers work hand in hand with these folks to make sure that's done in an efficient and cost-effective way. Well, thanks again for letting us talk to you a little bit about how engineering impacts our firm here in Tulsa. If you want to know more, please reach out to us and let us know. And I wish you the best of luck on your career. Thank you.
Thank you.